At exactly 3:24 in the afternoon, the Taiwan Strait looked calm. The water was flat, the sky was clear. Tour boats moved slowly along the coast of Kinmen Island, just 8 kilometers from mainland China. Nothing about the scene suggested that the next 42 minutes would become one of the most dangerous military confrontations in the Pacific in decades. On the northern edge of the island, 24 United States Marines moved through a defensive drill alongside Taiwanese forces. No live fire, no aggressive posture, just training. But across the water, on the Chinese coast, the People's Liberation Army Navy had already made its decision. This was not an accident. This was not a misunderstanding. This was a calculated move, and it nearly ignited a war. Kinmen Island, the line no one talks about. Kinmen is small, rocky, easily overlooked on most maps. Yet for more than 70 years, it has been a symbol of defiance. Closer to China than to Taiwan, Kinmen has survived artillery bombardments, blockades, and decades of military standoffs. During the Cold War, shells flew across these waters, so often that civilians built shelters into their homes. Today, it looks peaceful. But every soldier stationed there knows the truth. Kinmen is not a tourist island. It is a tripwire. If Kinmen falls, the world changes. The Marines, the American detachment, arrived early that morning. They came from Marine Corps' reconnaissance units, trained for isolation, rapid response, and survival behind enemy lines. Their presence was intentionally small, symbolic, not provocative. But symbolism cuts both ways. Their commander, Captain Aaron Mitchell, gave a brief warning before training began. We are close to China. Everything we do is being watched. Stay sharp. By noon, joint drills were underway. Beach defenses, communications setup, observation points. Nothing out of the ordinary. Until the radar screens lit up. 2:45 p.m. Something is wrong. Taiwanese radar operators noticed movement first. Not patrols, not routine transits. 18 Chinese naval vessels were leaving 3 separate ports, all converging on the same point. Kinmen, fast attack craft, corvettes, landing ships. This was not an exercise. The alert moved fast, from Taiwan's Ministry of Defense to U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. At 3:10 p.m., the Chinese ships accelerated. That's when Captain Mitchell's radio crackled. Multiple PLA Navy vessels inbound. Recommend defensive posture immediately. Mitchell didn't hesitate. All Marines, this is real. Combat positions. Activate emergency beacon. The signal left the island seconds later. 3:24 p.m. The message: Chinese ships entered Kinmen's waters from 3 directions. They didn't fire. They didn't land troops. Instead, a broadcast went out on international frequency. Clear, calm, cold. American forces are illegally operating on Chinese territory. You are surrounded. Surrender immediately. The message was deliberate, public, recorded. This wasn't about those 24 Marines. It was about humiliation. Beijing believed it had found a perfect trap. Capture U.S. troops without firing first. Force Washington into negotiations. Prove America wouldn't fight over a tiny island. What China didn't realize was that the response was already in motion. The first mistake, was assuming Marines panic when surrounded. They don't. The second mistake was thinking the distress beacon was symbolic. It wasn't. The third mistake was geography. 30 miles away, beyond the horizon, the USS America was already turning into the wind. 3:16 p.m. Before the ultimatum, 8 minutes before the surrender demand, the signal reached the ship. The admiral read it once, then said 6 words: launch everything. Full extraction. There would be no negotiation, no warnings, no standoff. If American troops were threatened, the response would be overwhelming. The sky comes alive, the flight deck erupted. Ospreys lifted first, fast, loud, unmistakable. Attack helicopters followed, loaded with Hellfires. Then the fighters. 6 F-35B stealth jets climbed into the sky, invisible to enemy radar, carrying precision weapons designed to end naval battles before the enemy knows they've begun. At the same time, U.S. destroyers across the strait received authorization. Weapons free. Back on Kinmen at 3:26 p.m., Chinese landing ships began lowering ramps. Captain Mitchell watched through binoculars. He knew they were outnumbered. He also knew something the Chinese commander didn't. They only had to hold, not win. 3:24 p.m., the turning point. As the Chinese commander repeated his surrender demand, the first missiles were already in the air. The F-35s never appeared on radar. The Chinese ships never saw them. All they saw was fire, impact. The first strikes hit the landing ships. Precision, simultaneous. Explosions tore through decks loaded with troops and equipment. Ramps collapsed, fire spread, engines died. The amphibious assault ended before a single soldier reached the beach. Moments later, corvettes were hit, one after another. Command systems failed. Hull breaches opened. Ships slowed, burned, and drifted. Then the helicopters arrived. Close-range destruction attack helicopters dropped low over the water. Fast attack boats tried to scatter. They didn't make it. Missiles slammed into hulls designed for speed, not survival. Explosions rolled across the strait. In less than 2 minutes, most of the surrounding vessels were either sinking or dead in the water. The remaining ships turned back toward China. They wouldn't make it. The final blow from beyond the horizon. U.S. destroyers launched their weapons. Sea-skimming missiles raced toward fleeing targets. There was no escape. By 3:34 p.m., the task force that had surrounded Kinmen was effectively destroyed. Extraction with the sea cleared. Ospreys landed on the island. Hundreds of Marines secured the perimeter. Captain Mitchell and his team boarded without ceremony. No speeches. No celebration. Just professionalism. By 4:06 p.m., every American was airborne. 0 casualties. China's response was silence. State media spoke of routine patrols and minor damage. Satellite imagery told a different story. Burning ships, oil slicks, debris fields stretching for miles. Independent analysts counted losses. The numbers were brutal. The message heard around the world: Washington didn't boast. It didn't threaten. It issued a single statement. U.S. forces acted to protect American personnel. That was enough. Allies understood. Adversaries understood. And Beijing understood most of all. The lesson: China believed proximity meant advantage. That being close to home made action safe. Kinmen proved the opposite. If the United States could respond within minutes, within sight of China's coast, then distance no longer mattered. The island wasn't the point. The principle was. 42 minutes. At 3:24 p.m., Chinese forces believed they had surrounded 24 Marines. At 4:06 p.m., those Marines were gone. The ships were destroyed. The bases struck. The message delivered. Touch American forces anywhere, and the response will not be measured in words. It will be measured in minutes. Closing line. Kinmen Island still sits 8 kilometers from China. Still quiet, still calm. But now, everyone knows what happens when that calm is broken. 42 minutes were enough.